Hey guys, Mike here. So today, I'm here to talk to you about Aquaman. In this review, I'll be going over a brief summary of the plot, my quick thoughts about the film, and whether or not you guys should go and see it. So I'm going to try and keep this review spoiler-free. However, if you don't want to know anything about the film, and you want to go completely blind, then it's just come back to this video once you've seen the film. So with that, let's get started, shall we?
We're here.
What are you doing?
You shouldn't have a parachute.
Redheads! You gotta love them.
So Aquaman stars Jason Momoa as Arthur Curry, otherwise known as the Aquaman. You may remember him as Conan the Barbarian and as Khal Drogo. In Aquaman, the Kingdom of Atlantis is close to the brink of war with the surface world, and it is up to Arthur to unite the Seven Kingdoms as their king to stop this war from happening. I mean, I know that makes it sound a lot simpler than it is, but there's a little bit more to it than that. I mean, not ridiculously more. This is still a somewhat straightforward story, but it is a little bit more complex than that. So, going into this movie, I thought that this was just going to be pretty much just another run-of-the-mill, average DC movie. Because, really, only Wonder Woman has actually shown levels of excellence when it comes to DC movies. But, with Aquaman, this couldn't be further from the truth. This movie was absolutely brilliant. So first off, Arthur Curry, Aquaman himself. He's definitely a lot less dude-bro-y in this than he was in Justice League. He's more interesting to watch, he's more developed, he's more likeable, and he feels less like a caricature and more like an actual character. But really, most mainstream audiences don't really know much about Aquaman. All they really know is that he's been kind of like the punchline or the laughing stock of the DC universe for like 80, 70, 60 years, something like that. So for a solo movie, they probably had to show a bit of an origin story. But I'm just so glad with the way they've done it. Instead of like having all of his origin right at the start of the movie, boring everyone, they kind of like sprinkle out throughout the movie, so you kind of like stay invested and you're more interested to find out a little bit more about him without being bored to tears just finding out stuff about him. And also, the transitions from present to past were done really smoothly and they just looked really good as well. But also, one of the highlights of this movie was the chemistry between Arthur and Mira, who's played by Amber Heard. They really played well off each other, and it wasn't one of these relationships where one is definitely a lot smarter than the other, and the other one is just spending the whole time being taught by the other one. They both kind of teach each other things, and they both grow as people, and they each, offer something, and they both bring something to the table. And ultimately, it doesn't really come down to the fact which one's better than the other. It's more the fact of how well they work together. So, I definitely look forward to seeing a return in an Aquaman or Justice League sequel. But easily, the biggest surprise about this movie was how great the action was in this movie. I had no idea that Aquaman was going to set the standard for how action should be done in comic book movies, or pretty much just in movies in general. I think there was only really maybe one action scene that wasn't really done all that well and you couldn't really see what was happening. But 99% of the movie, all the action was clear-cut, stylish, and you could see everything that was going on. And it just was absolutely brilliant to watch, really pulse-pounding, and just really unexpected. You had 360 shots, you had really close-up shots, you could just see every punch, kick, jab, everything. It was absolutely brilliant. You know what it's like? It's like DC was feeling sorry for themselves, and so they go out to a bar to have a drink. While there, they meet themselves a nice girl called John Wick. The two of them have a baby, and boom! Aquaman's born. Though having said that, the action in Aquaman's definitely a lot more CGI orientated, though still with good choreography, than it is pretty much just straight up choreography with John Wick. But still, nevertheless, I thought it was just, again, really, really good and an absolute massive surprise. But you know what actually is my biggest regret about this movie? I didn't see it in IMAX. I mean, like, just every single set piece looked phenomenal. I mean, you're just sitting there just like, wow, that was really good. I wonder how they're going to top that. Oh, wow. And then you're just constantly surprised by each different set piece. I mean, still, not many of them are practical set pieces, but still, even though they're CGI ones, they still look top-notch and they look gorgeous as well. I mean, other than the CGI and the action looking great, one of the other things I was really quite shocked with how good they were was the costumes. Mainly with the Atlantean guards, and mostly with Black Manta, because he looked near enough comic, perfectly accurate. I mean, as well, it didn't look like just some CGI hunk of junk, it just looked like something that was actually practical more than anything else. I mean, because it's a comic book movie, though, the villain doesn't really often get much of a chance to have any kind of development. They'll probably either save it for a sequel, or they just won't bother with it at all, and they'll just use them as just something to be in the way of the protagonist. But, despite this, I was somewhat sympathetic to the villain. They kind of set him up that way. And, he actually posed a threat to Aquaman, so I guess that's all you can really ask. I mean, actually, as well, going back to the costumes, it was just so refreshing to see Aquaman actually wear the Aquaman costume. I mean, because in Justice League, I mean, it was all well and fine, him just looking pretty much just like Khal Drogo, but it was just trying to make Aquaman seem like a cool guy, more than just actually trying to show what Aquaman's like. I mean, for anyone who's played the Injustice games, they pretty much show Aquaman, you know, blonde hair, like, full-on Aquaman suit, and he's still a badass in that, so there's no reason why you can't have Aquaman look like Aquaman and not have him be a badass. I mean, you know you're going to be a badass when your dad is Commander Cody and Boss from Star Wars Public Commandos. I mean, I know they're the same people because they're clones, but still, badass nonetheless. I mean, as well, especially after this movie, I don't think anyone's going to say that Aquaman's crap anymore.
Aquaman, help!
Hey! Hey, let her go!
I mean, I'm pretty sure pop culture's still going to take their jabs at him, but I'm pretty sure Jason Momoa will come down and shut that shit down. Or, you know, being Jason Momoa's ears, he'll probably actually join in and take jabs at Aquaman himself. Because, you know, Momoa seems like that kind of guy. Overall, guys, I could not give this movie enough praise. Jason Momoa was great, the rest of the cast were great too, the CGI was brilliant, and the action far exceeded my expectations. And like I've said, it now sets the standard for how action should be. So Hollywood, look out, you've got to up your game because Aquaman has now raised the bar. But having said that though, the story is a little bit generic. I think that's probably one of the downsides of it, being a comic book movie, but I mean, there was still a lot of intrigue in it. I mean, there was definitely political intrigue. I mean, not to the level of most, like, political dramas or anything like that, but, you know, just enough that it actually made you feel like you were actually getting invested in something. I mean, there were certain points where they were trying to set something up to be a surprise, but realistically, I've seen loads of stories like this, and I knew straight away what was going to happen. But still, nonetheless, it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the movie. It's just something that's definitely worth noting. And ultimately, I'm just so glad that the DCEU can actually still pump out good movies. I mean, they should just really take a step back and actually just focus on developing these characters before they do another massive ensemble. Because the biggest problem with the DCEU is that they're just rushing too much. They need to take a step back and just slow down and develop the characters before getting them together again. Now, as for whether or not you guys should go and see it, I can absolutely 100% definitely recommend that you guys should go see this movie. Go see it in IMAX. I'm probably going to go see it in IMAX again. This movie's wildly entertaining, and I can guarantee you'll have an absolute blast with this movie. So, you know, go see Aquaman. Okay, guys, that's my review for Aquaman. If you've seen it, what did you think about it? And what's your favourite movie set in the deep blue sea? Whatever it is, drop it in the comments below. And until next time, I've been Michael. See ya.